Welcome to Women in the Arts, the podcast that shines a light on those great women who participated in changing the world through culture.
Sweetheart, let's sit down and talk.
Gender.
Boys can do anything they want.
I'm Judy Chicago, and I'm an artist and a troublemaker.
Feminism.
I was always interested in drawing
art.
We have found the witch.
The witch.
Witches.
A world in which I could wear whatever I want, say whatever I
It's
want.
important to connect feminist art with fashion.
Mode. Equality.
Women in the arts.
Hello everyone. Today we welcome Anaïs and Jeanne on the theme of women in art. They are going to talk us about two women artists who have a lot to say. Anaïs, you are going to focus on Judy Chicago, who is a feminist artist, and Jeanne, you are going to tell us the story of Sonita Alizadeh, who is an Afghan rapper. I am curious to hear more about this. Jeanne, I'll let you start.
Oh yes, I can start. Today I'm going to talk to you about a young woman of 24 years old called Sonita Alizadeh. You may have heard of her. She is now very well known in the East for her consensus rap, who defends women's rights, especially against forced marriage. To better understand her struggle, I will tell you a little bit about her story. Let's begin by her childhood. Sonita was born in Afghanistan in 1996. To contextualize a little, we must remember that at that time, and still today, the political situation in Afghanistan was very complicated. At the time, the country was mainly governed by the Taliban, who very strictly applied Sharia law. Sonita comes from a large family in which girls are considered a financial burden. It is important to know that the legal age for marriage in Afghanistan is 16, but many girls are married much earlier. When Sonita was 9 years old, her father died and her mother told her that she had found her a husband. Fortunately for Sonita, her first marriage was cancelled as her family was forced to flee to Iran due to Taliban threats. In Iran, her family found itself without papers, and Sonita was forced to sell trinkets on the streets and do little jobs to survive. One day, while she was cleaning a gym, the loudspeaker broadcast a song by Eminem. She was captivated by the rhythm and the rage she heard in Eminem's voice. She then realized that she can use rap to tell her story and the stories of many other women about forced marriage. However, women in Iran are not allowed to say what they want, let alone sing rap music. But despite the illegality of her practice, Sonita continued to write songs and even broadcast her music on the internet. Very quickly, a craze was created around her songs. She was then noticed by an Iranian movie director, Roxare Gahem-Maghami, who was to play a crucial role in Sonita's career. She offered to follow Sonita in her adventures and in the beginning of her musical career, and Sonita accepted. Followed closely by Roxare's camera, Sonita decided to go see a producer to record her song Brides for Sale. Despite the risks involved, he agreed to help her record her song. Meanwhile, when she was 16 years old, Sonita encountered a new obstacle. Her brother told her that he wants to take her back to Afghanistan to marry her for $9,000 because he needs money to buy himself a wife. For Roxare Gahem-Maghami, it is unthinkable to let Sonita be married by force. She decided to give money to Sonita's family to allow her to stay 6 more months in Tehran. Sonita, for her part, managed to convince her brother to give her some time to earn money with her music. It was during this grace period that she shot the video clip for Brides for Sale. In this clip, she disguised herself in a wedding dress and put on makeup as if she had just been beaten up. In a fortnight, the video reached 6,150 views on YouTube. At the same time, the documentary Sonita, directed by Roxare, was released and was a real success. Opportunities for Sonita soon followed. Her clip Brides for Sale allowed her to be spotted by the association Strong Health, which offered her a scholarship to study music in the United States. Today, Sonita lives in Washington, where she is studying law. Her goal is to become a lawyer in Afghanistan to defend women's rights. At the same time, she travels the world to share her experience and continue her fight against forced marriages. On July the 12th, she announced the release of her first album in collaboration with Afghan and Iranian female rappers. Sonita wants to give them the opportunity to make themselves known. Sonita's adventures are over for now. I hope that, like me, you found the story of this brave woman inspiring. I would finish this podcast on a nice quote from Sonita. Women are strong, but they need to be pushed forward, and if there is nobody, there will always be me. Anaïs, I think you wanted to tell us about a woman who fought for the representation of women in the arts.
Hello, Jeanne. Indeed, she's a good example to illustrate women in the arts, because that's what she did. First of all, let me introduce her. Judy Chicago is an American artist and writer. Her work, The Diner Body, which I'm going to present to you, is classified as one of the most important pieces of the feminist art of the 70s. This more recent example of her work will maybe be familiar to you, The Dior Show. It took place last year in January in Paris. Judy Chicago has imagined the entrance of the fashion show. It represents the belly of a goddess, and the show took place in it. To have access to it, the guests had to get it through the sex of the goddess. Judy Chicago explained that we can enter in the same way we have come out of it. This creation was linked to the message that Dior wanted to share through the new fashion collection. Indeed, it was all about empowering women their right to dream, to live the life they want to. Now let's focus on the dinner party. She created a big triangle-shaped table with 39 seats exactly. At each seat you can find the representation of a woman. She placed the invisible guests in a chronologic order. We can find women belonging to 3 different periods of the history. The table is triangle-shaped because triangles have been during a long time a symbol for women. I did some research about it, and indeed, in some traditional societies, it is a symbol of woman because it represents the female genital organ, or also the fireplace in the household taken care by the woman. To take 2 examples of plates that you can find on the table, you can find Sojourner Truth's plate. She was an African-American abolitionist and women's suffrage activist. Or Artemisia Gentilish's plate. She was a Baroque artist. All the plates were created inspired by butterflies and flowers pattern to remind the female genital organ. Then each plate have been created in a different style depending on the person it was representing. The piece was created with the help of 400 volunteers. It took 5 years of work. The table is standing on a floor named Heritage Floor, and on this floor you can find 999 names of mythics and historic women. The meaning of the rock is strong, show and represents the contribution of women in different fields, a contribution that have been forgotten or hidden. She said she had the idea to do this work after she was invited to a dinner, and at the table all men were professors and the women were doctorates but not professors. And she thought men can achieve what they want and women have to stay in the corner without saying anything and live the life we accord them to live. They have talent but they have to stay quiet. The dinner party received a lot of negative reviews at the time. To quote the most important, the lack of ethnic diversity because only 1 black woman is present on the table, or a too homogeneous representation of women. But the work also received a lot of good reactions and is still receiving them today by being considered as one of the most important pieces of the feminist art movement. To respond to this criticism, we can remind that a long work of research have been realized by Judy Chicago and the volunteers. She tried to represent the most women that she could. If we take the 999 names on the floor and the 39 seats, we have 1,038 women represented on the piece. It seems a lot, and we must not forget that they also had to face a lot of material issues, and it took them 5 years to create the dinner party. I discovered this artist when I was reading Présente from Lorraine Bastide. She's a French journalist. This book is about feminism and the place of the woman in our society. She was saying that women are, since a long time ago, made invisible by patriarchy. She gives some examples, like how many streets have the name of a woman in France? 4%. The 96 other percentage is given to the men. She also gives the example of the French periodic Le Parisien. In April, they published 1 cover when you can read Il nous raconte le monde d'après, and you can see 4 white old men, like if only men were able to tell us the truth and to know everything about the future. The journal later apologized. I think Judy Chicago, her ideas and her work are a good way to discover women in the arts and the strong messages they can give us.
Well, it was very interesting. Thank you both for this podcast.
Let's imagine equality through culture together.